Hi everyone, this is Angela for ellenhudson.com, and I'm here today to share a project I created with a couple of items from the latest Essentials by Ellen release. Today we're going to be playing with the new Painted Florals stamp set, a gorgeous solid stamp set with tons of layering possibilities, the coordinating dies, as well as the casual greetings stamp set. So when I first started crafting, I would always stamp and then die cut my images. And I'm sure many crafters do this sometimes, but when it comes to sets where I want to make more than one of the same image or when there's lots of elements that need to be put together, I really prefer to use a jig, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. It's so much faster and it'll ensure that you get the same consistent thin white border around all of your stamped and die cut images. Here I'm placing all the dies from the Painted Florals set onto white cardstock, and I did this a couple of times so that I had lots of leaves, lots of branches and flowers. And now notice I'm not getting rid of that piece of white cardstock that I've cut from, and that's because I'm going to use it as a template in my MISTI. I've got all my die cutting done here, and that grid paper you see in my MISTI is actually a sticky sheet. Several brands make these, and I'm just placing the leftover cardstock right up into the right corner. From here, I can take each stamp and place them into the negative space, ensuring that it's as centered as I can possibly get it. Then I'll close the MISTI door and start popping my little flower die cuts inside. I'm inking up here with some Catherine Pooler ink, stamping onto that die cut that's in my jig, and then using my little craft knife here to help me pop it back out. This is what I did for every element that I die cut from the Painted Floral set. Now, for the elements that have layered stamping like these leaves, I went through with the lighter base color on all of them first. They had a little bit of time to dry as I went through each one before I applied the second layer of stamping in darker ink, and I find that letting the inks dry a little in between really helps for keeping the images nice and crisp. Now, for the flower centers, the stamp set offers a few options, and these are really little stamps. So I actually find it easier to just do them with an acrylic block. Again, I use the sticky mat in my MISTI to secure them, and then I just stamp all the little center bits with a block. But if you really wanted to, knock yourself out, you could totally keep using the jig for this as well. Okay, moving on, the background. I didn't want just a plain piece of white cardstock here, but I didn't want to distract from the floral elements either. So all I did was take a trim piece of white cardstock, I popped that into my scoreboard, and then I used the Ellen Hudson Essentials by Ellen bone folder and scored at the 1/4 inch mark and then the next little tick mark after that. So I did this all the way across my panel, creating a simple, subtle bit of texture. Getting back to our focal point, I wanted to create a gold frame. So that's what I'm doing next with the Essentials by Ellen Essential Hexagons and 2 pieces of gold cardstock. I backed that cardstock first with an adhesive sheet, then I ran them through my die cutting machine and just layered the skinny bits from the hexagons on top of each other in a sort of offset way to create a frame for my florals. And speaking of those, flower arranging was next. I don't know about you, but this is usually my favorite part of making a card. It can also be the bit that takes the longest, but maybe that's just me overthinking things. I don't know. So I fiddled with these for a good long time. What you're seeing here is definitely sped up. And once I got to something that I liked, I used some press and seal to temporarily secure them in place. Then I just flipped them over and put both double-sided adhesive and liquid glue on the back. The reason that I did this was because the double-sided adhesive ensures that none of the die cuts are going to fall apart, and then the liquid glue on top gives me a bit of flexibility and time to move the arrangements around on my card panel once I'm ready to stick it down. I like to have flexibility, Options are a really good thing. Alrighty, I've got those clustered together and ready to go, and so then I flipped them over onto my gold frame and very, very carefully and slowly peeled back the press and seal. You want to be delicate with this so you don't accidentally tear off any of your beautiful stamping, so I definitely recommend going slow here. This is not a card making race. Moving right along to the sentiment, I'm using the Casual Greetings stamp and die set, and I created a white embossed Love You Muchly on Concord and 9th and Midnight cardstock. This is a really nice deep navy, along with 2 more navy die cuts. I'm just going to stack those on top of each other for a chipboard-like sentiment and stick them towards the bottom right of my little wreath. Now to finish, I've got some of these gorgeous Pink Fresh Studio matte gold pearls. I absolutely love these so much. I'm adding them onto the card bottom left and top right with my tweezers and just a few tiny little dots of liquid glue. And there you go, loving these layered florals, loving you muchly for watching, and I hope you'll give layered stamping with a jig a try. You'll find links to all the products featured here in the YouTube description, or you can check them out in the blog post on the Ellen Hudson blog, which I'll also link below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye!